Welcome into Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Sr. I hope all of you had a fantastic weekend and your weeks are off to a very good start. Should be a pretty interesting week coming up for the Philadelphia 76ers because Ben Simmons rejoined the team and was a full participant in practice on Sunday. Did not address the media yesterday while some players did. He is expected to do so either today or Tuesday, and his status for the season opener on Wednesday against the New Orleans Pelicans right now is unknown. Doc Rivers saying yesterday that Ben Simmons in practice, he looked good, but still has to get into game shape. He's not in that shape yet because he hasn't been with this organization for a little while. Showed up outside the Wells Fargo Center last week. Elton Brand gets a text, hey, Ben Simmons is here. We didn't even know he was coming, but he's got to take his COVID test. Here's what Doc Rivers had to say about Ben Simmons' conditioning level, and this is going to be a fascinating story that plays out all throughout this week and really all throughout the season until Ben Simmons is traded, if that does come to fruition. Doc on Simmons saying this, I don't know yet if he's going to play on Wednesday. I'm going to wait and see. Conditioning, I would say, just watching him, I thought he was in decent shape. Still not obviously game shape. He can do all of that stuff, but overall, yeah. As for the vibe in the Sixers locker room, according to some of the players, and there were some really weird quotes coming from some of Ben Simmons' teammates who really haven't talked to him all throughout the offseason. Tobias Harris keeping it a business approach, which is really what this organization has to do, because there's no doubt when you factor in human nature, human interaction, this Ben Simmons situation is very awkward. Harris said this. So all the energy, this and that, the vibe was what it was. Was it perfect? No, but we're here to do a job, and that's win basketball games. So put our big boy pants on the floor. We get on the floor, and we do what we do. My main question for this roster, for the coaching staff, for the front office, and really the entire Philadelphia 76ers organization as a whole, how can the Sixers limit the distraction? There have been players over the last couple of days, last week, saying we're taking a business-minded approach. We are attacking these games like we want to win them. We are a team. This isn't about one single player, but there's no question that this Ben Simmons trade saga and the standoff between him and the organization was a talking point among the organization as well as the players, but it had to have been a distraction because how could it not? And some of the quotes coming from teammates, as I said earlier, were just really, really weird. There weren't any ringing endorsements of Ben Simmons. I didn't count a single player on the team who really supported him. Some players asked if they have talked to him over the last couple of days and weeks and months. Some of them said no. Matisse Thybulle said, you know what, I'm just handling my business. I haven't talked to Simmons, which is weird because Matisse Thybulle played for the Australian Olympic team this summer. Ben Simmons almost did. They obviously have a connection there, and they are, of course, teammates. Now, what is the starting five going to look like this week if Ben Simmons rejoins the team or whenever he does be a part of the game action? I'm not sure. We know that Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid are going to be two members of that starting five, but that leaves three other positions in that starting five as unknowns. Do you start Tyrese Maxey at point guard? Do you go with Steph Curry as the two guard because of what he did last year in that highway robbery of a trade that Daryl Morey pulled off, sending away Josh Richardson? Do you have Ben Simmons play point guard? Because of his playoff struggles, do you then put Ben Simmons as the power forward, the four, not the primary ball creator, because this guy is still allergic to shooting the basketball? Here's my proposed starting five, because I think it brings the best out of everybody. I think it allows this team to reach their full expectations and their potential, and I think it makes this team the most dangerous. I would go with Tyrese Maxey as the starting point guard. I think he does wonders for this team from a playmaking standpoint. He doesn't have as much pressure on him with Ben Simmons in that starting lineup to be a guy who averages 15, 20 points. So if he's more comfortable as a second-year guy, I really like that. But this team has been bereft the last couple of years of a guy who can be a three-level scorer, create for himself off the dribble, off the bounce, and also for his teammates as well. And Tyrese Maxey is the best option to do that, in my opinion, at point guard. For Steph Curry, you have a guy who can really stretch the floor and be an elite three-point shooter like he was last year, basically unconscious when he's left open. And around Embiid, you want as many shooters as possible. We know that what we're going to get from Tobias Harris. He had arguably a career year last year. He could have been an all-star, averaged 19.5 points per game. He does a lot for you as your wing. And then for Ben Simmons, yeah, you have to to treat him unlike a lot of other players because his skill set is incredibly unique. If he's at the 4 spot, in the dunker spot, it takes pressure off of him and the offense because you're not relying on him to create offense and shoot the basketball. But as he hovers around the rim as a put-back dunker, you put him in the dunker spot, he can still pass very well from that area. He can hover around the three-point arc to give Joel Embiid some space, but the main point here, I think Tyrese Maxey gives this team the best opportunity to win because you look at how this current construction of this team, for the most part, has been successful. It's with guys like Jimmy Butler, having guys as a shooter like a JJ Redick. Steph Curry is in that role right now, and Tyrese Maxey can just kind of take so much pressure off of everybody else because he can create, whereas Simmons cannot because defenders sag off of him, and it really limits this offense. So that would be my starting 5 when Ben Simmons comes back, if a trade doesn't happen until then. So what would your starting 5 be? Give me that list of 5 names right now in the comment section. Have some fun with it because I'm going to circle back to see what you all come up with. If you want more Sixers news and rumors videos from us here at Chat Sports on 76ers Now, subscribe to the channel. This is the fastest growing Sixers channel out there on YouTube. Just surpassed more than 2,000 subscribers. Hit that red subscribe button down below if you want entertaining and informative coverage like this. As for Joel Embiid, can he get back to that MVP form that he was at last year prior to that knee injury? And can he compete with the likes of a Luka Doncic and a Steph Curry to win the 2021-2022 MVP? He did speak recently about him growing his game, expanding his arsenal, becoming a better player. And the main point of emphasis, not him becoming a better three-point shooter, which he did last year, career highs in three-point percentage. It's not him becoming healthier, more reliable. It's him putting an emphasis on being a better creator. Let's explore that a little bit because I thought Joel Embiid last year took some steps creating for himself, creating for his teammates. And if you look back at Joel Embiid, when he came into the league out of Kansas, yeah, you've missed the first 2 years because of those respective injuries, but his game since he came into the league out of Kansas has evolved and grown immensely. He was somewhat limited and very, very raw when he was a younger player. Now, his skill set is wide-ranging. It is very diverse. And I thought last year he took some steps in a couple of different areas, but the most obvious one was that the game really just slowed down for him. When he was in the low post a couple years ago and people would double-team him, the game moved fast. He panicked, and he made some really bad decisions with his passes because he was panicking, because he wasn't sure what to do and didn't have a really good feel for the game. I thought last year he made a lot of improvements in those respective areas, and I thought last year he did become a much better passer, which is great and does wonders for this offense because he is the key cog for this team on the offensive end of the floor. And when he gets double teamed, what does that obviously mean? Factor of subtraction, right? When he gets double teamed, there are going to be other guys open, and if he can utilize those double teams and bring in some guys and find open guys elsewhere on the court, it really does a lot for floor spacing, but also just generating offensive points and opportunities for some of his other teammates. And Joel Embiid has really done, since he came into the league, what Ben Simmons never has. Of course, Ben Simmons has become a much better defensive player. That's why he's a back-to-back first-team all-defensive guy, and I thought he should have been the defensive player of the year last year. But Embiid still looking, coming off a season in which he averaged 28.5 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, trying to work on his weaknesses and his flaws is something that Ben Simmons has just always refused to do. And when you take a gander at Embiid's numbers last year, I kind of just went through them. They were spectacular. And I think if Embiid doesn't get hurt against the Washington Wizards when he hyperextends his knee, he's going to be the most valuable player in the league because I thought he was much better for his team than a guy like Nikola Jokic was. And I think he was the better player up to that point. But when he missed that time, that then opened up an opportunity for the Joker to win that award. The NBA MVP odds for this upcoming season. Embiid is right in the mix, and if he stays healthy, I think he can be in this equation and in this conversation all year long. Of course, the problem with Embiid is his long-term health, but Luka plus 450 odds, Steph Curry at plus 650, Giannis at plus 650 as well, Joel Embiid plus 750. So almost 8-1 odds for Embiid to win MVP. I think the value there is pretty good, and if he continues to work on some of his weaknesses, some some of his deficiencies and become a better passer, a better creator, like he said, you already know he's a walking bucket. Last year, he shot around 39% from distance for much of that season. If he's around a 40% three-point shooter as a 7+ footer, that's very rare. We know he's going to rebound the basketball. We know he's a spectacular defensive player as well. So if he just stays healthy and continues to improve on his game, I think you're looking at a guy who could bring home an MVP, the first for this franchise since Allen Iverson won it back in 2001. So what do you think? Will Embiid win the NBA MVP this year alongside the Steph Currys, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant's, LeBron James, and the Giannis's of the world? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Sound off in the comment section down below and let me know how you're feeling.